Last week we had Kevo on the dyno at Knight Family Motorsport and we ran into some issues. If you haven't seen the video, click the link in the corner, check it out. In a nutshell, we sprayed it with nitrous. It made 970 horsepower at the hubs at 30 pound with a 100 shot of nitrous. And unfortunately, we ran into some issues. Cylinder 2 and 5, after that pull, are now low on compression. The spark plugs, we burnt the electrodes off the plugs, which is kind of what made us then do a compression test. And we don't know what happened. Spraying nitrous, it's a single fogger basically that's right before the throttle body. My assumption is that I've got the throttle body mounted vertically here, and when it's sprayed in, it's maybe diverted around the throttle blade. Potentially, I don't know, that's my guess. It may have been an injector issue also, but the data says everything was okay. I trust Kye with my 1,000 horsepower engine. Kye's a very knowledgeable bloke, so what he says goes. Yes, in hindsight, you probably should have port nitrous, and this Plasma Man manifold actually has provisions for that. That's me being a tight ass. I didn't want to spend the extra 2.5-ish grand to put port injection on it, and I just said, it's cool, spray it, let's make some power. We ran into some issues. The engine's been sitting. Today we're going to dive into a bit of diagnosis and figure out what's going on. We assume it might just be like an exhaust valve. It's got stainless exhaust valves. We assume that maybe it's eaten the seat away in cylinders 2 and 5, or maybe the valve might have just gotten so hot that it's just tweaked a little bit, bent a little bit at the end there. But we're going to pull manifolds off, do a leak down, and then try and find out if it is maybe exhaust valves, and then we'll pull the head off and make a game plan. Generally today is what the aim is. This is a bit of a bummer, and I'm really itching to drive the car. The car is actually now off getting painted, so in hindsight, pulling the engine out wasn't really a bad thing. It just sucks that now I've got to spend some more money. But this is a game you play when you're into performance cars. Sometimes it happens. So yeah, it is what it is. If you want to help support the rebuild, you can buy a I Hate Cars hat at the merch store. So first things first, get everything off this engine, get it on the bench, and cover it up, and we'll start diving into a bit of diagnosis.
Where were you when it blew up on the dyno, Alan?
I was probably riding my dirt bike.
Here.
Smells bad.
You want to lend a hand?
No. Gotta go. So long.
With the legendary John help us out today, mainly because John's a lot smarter than me when it comes to diagnosis. I'm just fumbling bolts on the ground. John's also got a lot of the tooling, so leak down tester is one thing I actually don't have. I probably should invest in one. And I don't plan on diving into the bottom end, but if we did need to, John's got all the necessary measuring equipment for that anyway. So. And the first big step is leak down test. I'll pull the filter off, we'll cut that open to have a squeeze. But as far as I'm concerned, the bottom end is fine anyway. It's gonna be top end. Anyway. Money. Oh, John. What was that? Lucky we're pulling the head off. Yeah, that went straight down into... I'm pretty sure it fell down there, yeah. I can't see it. This jackass. Lucky it wasn't a stainless bolt.
Oh yeah.
Got the Ross valve covers off so we can see where the engine position is at, and we can see that the exhaust valves and the inlet valves are closed on cylinder 2. So leak down test is basically applying pressure to that cylinder, and then once you can then hear coming out exhaust valves or inlet valves, or cooling system if it's lifted the head. So John's got a special fitting to go on it's kind of basically a compression test, the fitting. And is that homemade, no doubt? No? Oh, usually you're the kind of guy that does that stuff. Yeah, I'm good, come on.
It's easy that one. You have to make everything.
Yeah, dog. Yeah, it's definitely closed. I can wind it over a bit more if you want to. How's Kye? Straight on the money.
Red's bad.
Oh. Confirmed that it is exhaust valves. John's just running a feeler gauge over the valve clearance now. For me, that's good news. It's not good news. Obviously, it's a bad time having an engine that's blown up. Is that going to be my title? I blew up my 2JZ. But it's a good thing that it's not going to be bottom end. I mentioned at the start I trust Kye. I would trust Kye with my life. He's a good mate of mine. I'm putting my life in your hands there, Kye. And he actually said we've either burnt the valve seat away, or the valve's it's gotten so hot that it's just tweaked the end of it. They are stainless valves, and at this power level I probably should have had Inconel valves, which is what I might upgrade to, or maybe upgrade the valve seat itself. I'm not too sure who's going to do the machine work on this. It might be a local guy, or I might be sending this to, I don't know. I'll give you a shout out. If you want to do this kind of stuff, send me a DM, but by now I've probably got it sorted. So yeah, we'll try and, I'll figure it out. These things, everything just gets worked out. Someone knows someone, this person's got a favour, that person's got a hook up. We'll work it out. Fresh battery time. This is incredibly tight though. Yeah, it was in the facials, that's why. Kevo uses a Ross Performance Parts Gold Series harmonic balancer. This is an interference fit balancer that has been honed to suit the size of our crankshaft. It does require the use of a puller for removal and installation. Ross do have the option to change the diameter, which affects the pulley ratio. You can also add additional drive mandrels to the front of the balancer for things like belt-driven oil or fuel pumps. Sorry, mate. I got like 6 of these if you want one.
Still like not nearly done.
You're quicker. Ready? Access to the head studs is quite tight in the cylinder head, like it is with most engines, and it does require a thin walled socket. I don't have one, so I've jumped on the lathe to machine down a Tool Pro socket that will work. Ooh, just. Look at this. Oh, the perfect cutout in the torque wrench.
Get some R&D there. Toyota use a shimless bucket which are matched to each valve, setting the valve clearance. It's always a good practice to number these buckets during disassembly.
Sweet. Straight up. Sweet.
Problem. Toss the head.
Oh yeah. Kyle was bang on the money. Oh, she been hot.
Feeling hot.
Very hot, nah. So let's reuse those valves. You can even see the colour. I can see the colour there, eh? Got all the experts in here. Come on, get over here. Dave's actually a bloody engine builder himself, but now he's just supervisor. Just designs wicked airboxes. There you go. You can see in the exhaust seat on the cylinder head, it's eaten away. There's all that alloy there, so we're going to pop some exhaust valves out to have a look. Again, good thing. Kind of stoked that it is that, and there's no melted pistons, which is a good sign. So I'm going to wrap this up and keep that nice and tidy. Do I have to replace those firings? I do. Yeah, you can't like re-anneal them or something, can you? You wouldn't? Should you use them again? Yeah. Okay.
Not so simple. Put back on.
Oh no, we don't need it. Whipped out some exhaust valves and we can see the damage on the valve seat. If it were a drag week and I was wanting to get back on the track, you probably could just clean it up with some paste and away you go. Give it a little shuffle. I've got to make some phone calls. One, I need to get some new exhaust valves. Probably could reuse them, but I've been suggested at this power level that I'm chasing for, I probably should upgrade to Inconel. It hasn't really done too crazy of damage. Yeah, it's eaten away the head there. I'm sure we can clean that up. And I've also got to make some phone calls to see who can help me out and who can do this in the time frame that I would like to get this done in. So all in all, it is a kind of a positive result. The pistons look fine. There's no hot spots anywhere. Why has it happened? No idea. It's not like there's peppering on all the cylinders and these two are the worst. The rest look pretty well fine. So it's a bit of a bummer. The only positive thing is I've got more content to release on YouTube. So it is what it is. Makes for a drama. Everyone loves the negatives on YouTube. If everything went well, sweet, high fives and smiles, no one cares. If you blow shit up, then that's when people click on your videos and that's when the drama starts. Why do we focus on the negatives? It's not good. Anyway, I'll make a game plan and we'll go from there. Goddamn compressor, every time.
One thing that I really appreciate in the performance industry, or the automotive industry in general, is just how helpful everyone is when it comes to ordering parts or asking for advice. This mishap was a bit of a bummer, but I will say that I now have learnt a lot more about Nitrous than I did before. I've dropped the cylinder head off to be inspected and machined, so while I wait, I'm going to clean up all of this sealant from the block. I'm using CRC gasket stripper, which softens the silicon sealant without damaging the machined deck surface. Using silicon on a head gasket is usually a big no, but this engine uses a copper head gasket with fire rings to seal the combustion chamber, and silicon is used to prevent any coolant leaking from the water passages. As the engine experienced some excessive pressure in cylinders 2 and 5, we've removed the sump to inspect the big end bearings. We're also going to inspect the main bearings and check the crankshaft for any run out. The sump had to come off regardless, as there was an oil leak present at the front of the engine and the rear of the engine. I do suspect the oil was coming down from the crankshaft bolts, as I didn't use the right sealant on the bolts, but I am replacing and resealing the remain seal anyway, just as a precaution. We have already removed and cut open the oil filter to inspect it for any bearing material, which there was none present. With the caps removed, we can visually inspect the bearings, which look perfectly fine, so they can be refitted and torqued to spec. It's highly unlikely the crankshaft has been affected from this failure, but it is still worth checking. A dial gauge placed on the center of the crankshaft confirms the crank is not bent, so we can then re-seal the sump and work on getting the cylinder head bolted back onto the engine.
After I got the cylinder head off, I got some advice from some crew. I spoke to Goleby, spoke to John, Kye, and I went and took the cylinder head down to Oscar and Steve at Marucci Cylinder Heads, and pretty well now they've done a full head service. The valves in the head are already actually a Inconel valve. I mentioned that last time I might upgrade, but they actually are a stainless valve that are Inconel coated. It's a Ferrera valve. They were happy to reuse the valves too, so we've basically done full head service. The head's been decked. The valve stem seals have stayed because they were pretty well brand new anyway. And now we're ready to throw the head back on. I do have a new copper gasket and fire rings from Goleby. So it's a 47 thou gasket and the fire rings have a 3 thou crush. This is the old gasket. We're going to use this to check piston to valve. Because the head's been decked, it should be fine, but it's just good to check anyway, to check how much clearance there is. So John's got some what looks like Play-Doh on the pistons, and then we can slap this on and then put the cylinder head on. Which way does this go? That way. And check the piston to valve clearance.
Checking piston to valve clearance can be a bit of a pain in the butt, but it is something that needs to be done if you don't want to destroy an engine. This combination of pistons, rods and camshafts is a very common package put together by Goleby's, but it's never safe to assume, as every engine is machined differently. After we wind the engine over, the cylinder head is then removed and we can inspect the Play-Doh on top of the pistons to see if the valves have come in contact. As you can see here, the valves didn't even touch the Play-Doh, which means we've got plenty of clearance. The copper head gasket and fire rings do come as a match set. This gasket is 47 thou with a 3 thou crush on the fire rings. Due to the manufacturing process, the gasket does need to be deburred before install.
Running against the clock here, we've got sealant on the copper gasket. One thing to be careful of is just the oil feed, the main thing. Some people use Hylamar, some people use copper gasket. I've been told to use sealant, and that's what we're using.
We're tightening the cylinder head in 3 equal stages, and I have been informed to recheck these studs after a heat cycle, which was something I never did originally and was potentially the reason there was coolant within the cylinders after that last dyno session. The final piece for the top end is the Kelford 282 camshafts. Before we put the cam caps on, we're keeping everything lubricated with some Star Lube from CRC.
We've got Kevo's 2JZ bolted back together. I want to say a massive thanks to John for coming down to help me out. It's great having not only good company, but skilled company and hanging out with mates in the shed, doing cool shit. And John is a very talented bloke. He's done plenty of engines before, and it's just reassuring to have someone here with you. We haven't got the covers bolted on. We haven't got any of the parts bolted on, so we've still got the Plazzy, the Garrett, the 6-boost. Everything's going to be bolted back on the engine. But for now, it's basically just going to chill because we've got to get the car back, and I want to actually get the engine in like this before bolting any of the manifolds on. I actually did scratch the engine bay getting the engine out. I didn't cover it. I was a bit bummed about myself. Doing it by myself was a stupid idea anyway. I had a casualty with the windscreen, but it is what it is. The car has actually now been painted. So this engine saga actually happened in December, and since then the car's been up with my mate Matt, and he has done a tremendous job. The car has come out so bloody beautiful. I'm really excited to see the car in person. So I've only seen photos so far, so really keen to get the car back. That's happening next week, so we'll get the car back in the shed. We'll bolt the JZ back in. We'll bolt everything else back on the engine and get the car running. There is a few changes to be made to the car. So after the dyno run, we have got some more data to work with. So first thing we're going to change is actually the rear diff gear. So we've got a 3.5 currently in it at the moment. We're going to change to a 3.7.9, and we're also going to change the stator in the converter. We've got a bolt together Circle D converter in the car, and we've sent the logs off to Pete at Circle D. He's going to do his magic Pete thing and design a stator that's going to work for us. So hopefully we can get the car up on boost without nitrous. The G45, in my opinion, is a massive turbo, but you can, if we want to make more power, we'll have to go to a bigger turbo anyway. I would like to bring this up on boost without nitrous. I'm still going to use nitrous as a strategy for racing kind of thing, so get it up on the trans brake, have the nitrous there for it. But ideally, driving the car on the street, having it work, having it come on boost would be way better. So I'm not going to use nitrous for a full power run, but ideally you would have to run direct port in the plasma man inlet manifold. We're not going to go there. It's a bit of a bummer. Unfortunately, these things happen. The comment section was alive with suggestions and ideas. I had messages from a lot of crew saying, hey, do this, try that. I am happy to pretty well leave the combo as it is for now, and I'm just not going to spray it for a full run. I've seen people spray these with Plazzies, with standard manifolds, with other brand manifolds, 100 shots, 200 shots, 300 shots, not a worry at all. So I'm going to point the finger at the location of the nozzle being where it was, right in front of that throttle body, and call it a bit unlucky, I suppose. But you live and you learn, and as I mentioned, it makes a good content. You blow stuff up and people watch your videos. So thanks for watching another episode of The Skid Factory. If you'd like to support the show, you can buy some merch, which I'm currently not wearing. You can get yourself an I Hate Cars hat, which actually they're not in stock. We're getting some more, so maybe buy a t-shirt or something, and you can help support the bill for fixing up Kevo's engine. As always, drive safe and enjoy the moment. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
Couple of Patreon shout-outs this week, thanks to Yasashi Kyojin Studio, Ben Newson, Nathan Verall, Craig Mars, Robert Reed, and Brendan Oakey. Thanks for supporting the Skid Factory via Patreon. Well, what's for dinner? I'm cooking up a juicy roast lamb.
How's the tunes pumping from the Tool Pro radio? A little bit of X.
So basically, it was just a damn it. Yo, I'm filming. What's up?
Oh, what are you doing?
Say hi to YouTube.
Yeah, g'day YouTube. How you going there, brother?
I'm not wearing my own merch. You can buy some merch at the merch store, www.theskidfactory.com. A few extra W's there.
You got a bowl of Spool, and I'll just throw that down as you shake it. Spool and Spool come in.
How good are moving blankets? Heavy duty. They also hold a lot of dust though, so I'll probably just put heaps of dust in there. Push it out in. What am I calling about that?